Humans have a long-standing ancient relationship with cannabis, from the use of hemp fiber, oil, and seeds, to cannabis being named as a medicine in Chinese pharmacopoeia, to the psychoactive properties being used in countless rites of passage. Despite that, cannabis is often misunderstood, and in the recent, let's say, 100 years, our relationship shifted with her to one that's less oriented to healing body, mind, and spirit, to one that is more surrounded by shame and secrecy, racism, and imprisonment. So, in today's video, we're going to demystify cannabis together by learning her story as our lifelong plant companion, which will hopefully help you release internalized shame about having her as part of your practices to live and be well. Cannabis is humanity's oldest agricultural crop, dating back as far as hunter gatherer periods about 80,000 years ago. Throughout human history, cannabis has been there. All parts of the plant, psychoactive or not, were integrated into human life. Hemp was used to make clothing and textiles, food, paper, construction, and medicine, while the psychoactive parts of the plant were integrated within ceremony. The shift of cannabis from the people's plant to a negatively perceived drug really took hold in the 1930s, especially in the US, and really hasn't been able to bounce back. You might remember or have heard of the movie Reefer Madness, which was a propaganda film against cannabis that came out in 1936 that made all kinds of ridiculous and unfounded claims.
Smoking the soul-destroying reefer, they find a moment's pleasure, but at a terrible price. Debauchery, violence, murder, suicide.
Of cannabis being a cause of mental illness or just random states of delinquency. And this was in pursuit of lumping this plant medicine in with the war on drugs. The roots of cannabis criminalization are largely racist, especially in the US. In the 1930s, a government official named Henry Ashlinger was an early campaigner for the war on drugs and would fuel his campaign with lots of random and racist propaganda. And that was a large part of his fuel to criminalize cannabis. A year after Reefer Madness came out and changed the view of cannabis on the world stage, the Marijuana Tax Act came out in the US, which taxed the right to grow and purchase and to sell cannabis. But the roots weren't just related to racism and criminalization, they were also a propaganda campaign for a newspaper mogul called William Randolph Hearst.
Ruled over the greatest news empire in America. By the 1920s, 28 Hearst newspapers were read by over 20 million people. 1 in every 4 Americans read a Hearst newspaper. His name was synonymous with yellow journalism, a style of writing that prioritized sensationalism over facts. One of his favorite targets were Mexicans. His papers portrayed them as lazy, degenerate, and violent. This served a dual purpose for Hearst. As successful as his papers were, they didn't actually make money. They were propped up by his family's other investments in, among other things, paper milling. Hemp threatened his wood pulp paper empire.
Hertz used his empire of newspaper and his singular hold over journalism in the US at the time to further demonize cannabis and spread a public perception that there was a connection between cannabis and violent crime. And the fuel for his personal vendetta was solely to destroy the hemp industry because of an invention involving hemp called the corticator that made hemp an extremely cheap substitute for the wood pulp that was used in the newspaper industry. So it was purely for his own profit. So the target was hemp. Hemp was supposed to be the thing that was criminalized overall, but all of cannabis was demonized in the process. Added to the fact that in the US, there is privatized prisons that earn income from the amount of prisoners that they have. So lumping cannabis into Black and brown communities that would subsequently get the wrong end of the stick was just a welcome byproduct of criminalizing cannabis as a whole. So this misinformation continued on and on in varying degrees until the 1970s, when the US introduced the Controlled Substance Act that listed cannabis as having no accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse, which is just objectively untrue. Cannabis has been listed in pharmacopoeia for thousands of years, back all the way to 2800 BCE. And even as recently as 2017, we've seen use as CBD being highly effective for epilepsy in children. So to call cannabis medically not useful is just untrue and not factual. So fast forward to 2025, where many countries and many states within the US have decriminalized or fully legalized cannabis. But there is still a shadow lingering from the misinformation many of us grew up hearing and believing about cannabis. So if you are a casual consumer, you are very likely walking around with internalized shame or internalized judgments about cannabis or the people that use cannabis, which is negatively impacting your experience with her. The real roots of cannabis tell a story of supporting humanity in body, mind, and spirit. And knowing the path that cannabis walked to get to you is so empowering and can bring you into your own intention to honor the spirit of this plant going forward. So we've spoken a bit on hemp and its agricultural importance. So let's pivot to what I consider the more fun stuff, which is the ritual and medicinal use of cannabis throughout the ages. So the mention of cannabis in ceremony spans across thousands of years. For example, in the Vedas, which is the oldest Hindu scripture, mentions cannabis as a sacred plant medicine and a bringer of joy. The Hindu god Shiva is also called the god of cannabis or the lord of bhang. And Shiva is said to have used cannabis to release fears and anxiety in war. He also used the plant for its nutritional compounds and ate it. He used it to cure ailments and to help him relax and meditate. The use of cannabis is also mentioned in the Bible, in the Old Testament, where people would rub large amounts of this holy oil that contained cannabis and would rub it all over their bodies in such large amounts that they were definitely feeling the psychoactive qualities of cannabis as it was absorbed into their skin. Also, in about 3000 BCE, archaeologists found in Romania cannabis flower that was burned in ceramic bowls in temples and holy spaces. There's also, of course, a rampant amount of cannabis mentioned for medicinal use in Chinese texts, in Roman texts, in Greek texts, in Indian texts, and in the Assyrian cultures, which are said to be one of the earliest peoples to really trade and share cannabis with the world. All of these cultures were using cannabis to treat medical conditions like arthritis, depression, inflammation, pain, and lack of appetite and asthma. And in rites of passage, cannabis has always been there for us in different cultures for marriage, for funeral rites, and for coming of age. I think knowing cannabis's true story is really important for us to know, especially if you want to engage with cannabis as a sacred plant medicine. Knowing where she came from and the path that she walked in order to get to you in 2025 or whenever you're watching this is a way to release shame around cannabis and therefore your cannabis use. We need to know and reflect on any perceived ideas that we have based on misinformation. And by doing that, we return to cannabis's roots as a plant companion, a spiritual plant ally, and builder of worlds, literally, with hemp and construction and fabrics and clothing us and keeping us warm and creating ropes that we can use in farming. And when we return to cannabis's true story, we are more able to sit with cannabis in a healthy and non judgmental way. So, sit with this new information and roll up or consume cannabis in ceremony in your preferred method, and then see how cannabis shows up for you in this new lens, in this new perspective. You'll very likely find it to be a revelatory and blissful and healing experience when you detach it from the years and years and years of deeply intense false information. Knowing the history of cannabis can reconnect you with your why. Why are you consuming and sitting with cannabis today? Is it for spiritual purposes, for medicine, or is it just for your own pleasure, which is perfectly fine? Centering your pleasure in moments that feel sustainable and good for you is an act of devotion, just experiencing joy and a commitment to experiencing the present moment as it unfolds in front of you. Releasing your shame around cannabis shifts your relationship to it and reorients cannabis as a sacred plant medicine and support for your life. Just as there isn't any shame around having a glass of rosé at the end of a challenging day, there shouldn't be any shame around having a low dose edible or CBD joint or a full THC joint at the end of a day to reorient yourself to pleasure and relaxation and to your natural state of ease. So keep this in mind the next time you decide to take some time to sit with cannabis, and let me know how it goes for you. Let me know if you have learned anything new in today's video and whether your perception of cannabis has shifted in any way. And if you would like a guiding hand to using cannabis in its originally intended purpose to support your physical, mental, and spiritual well being, go ahead and visit the Yoga Portal, my membership with yoga classes and mindfulness practices, all coupled with cannabis to help you return to your true nature. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you next time.